Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley. What can I say? Right? She's an establishment politician, and she is a 2024 GOP hopeful. Okay, and she's come out and started doing a lot of talking. Okay, a lot of talking during this time period in which, Republicans are at a crossroad, right? And I've been telling you guys for a long, long, long time. Basically, ever since Trump first made those accusations about Georgia, that the GOP was in a civil war. Okay? And it became obvious that this is what was happening when Trump came out and demanded the $2,000 stimulus checks to repeal Section 230 and, to have a commission investigate the election. Well, he demanded all that stuff, and then McConnell basically said no. That should have been loud and clear to anybody who pay attention to any type of politics that the GOP was in a full-blown civil war. Okay? Now, Nikki Haley comes out and says that the liberal media wants to stoke a nonstop Republican civil war. Now, obviously, Nikki Haley here is really pulling this out of her butt, because this is something that, again, anybody with a brain and two eyes could have figured out was happening, and they didn't need the liberal media to tell them that. Matter of fact, the liberal media has only begun to catch on to the fact that there is a GOP civil war, because the liberal media and the progressives want to throw Republicans all in the same boat, right? They all associated with Trump. They all love Trump. They want to throw them all in the same boat. Okay, that's what the liberal media does, right? Because it's easy for them to attack a whole group of people if they do that. So to pretend that the liberal media is trying to divide the GOP, I think that that's very disingenuous. I'm not saying that the liberal media doesn't have bad intentions when it comes to making the Republican Party look bad, but the way they do that is through putting everybody in the same boat. That's how they do it, okay? The GOP divided itself, right? When McConnell came out against Trump, that's when it was officially divided. So let's read here about Nikki Haley and what she's saying. Nikki Haley, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations during the Trump administration, accused the liberal media of instigating a GOP civil war in a Wall Street Journal op-ed Wednesday, while offering her thoughts on how the Republican Party should proceed in the post-Trump era. Haley wrote that the media goes berserk whenever a GOP official criticizes President Trump. The former South Carolina governor argued that such conduct attempts to pit conservatives against one another, and that it's a ridiculous false choice. Real life is never that simple. Someone can do both good and bad things, Haley wrote. People feel strongly about Mr. Trump, but we have to acknowledge reality, she added. People on the right can find fault with Trump's actions, including on January 6th, right or left. When people make these distinctions, they're not trying to have it both ways. They're using their brains. Haley called on the GOP to be honest about what worked and what didn't over the past 4 years, and warned that continued infighting would only benefit the party's opponents on the left. So I actually agree with her on this statement, right, in regards to how the GOP really needs to take the best of what Trump did, right, the things that he ran on, the things that he got elected for, and the things that have worked over the past 4 years, and they need to build on that. Okay, they really do. And so I 100% agree with her on that. And I also agree with her that the continued infighting, right, the whole McConnell versus Trump thing, is only going to benefit the Democrats long term. Okay, that's just kind of how it goes. The GOP cannot afford to be divided. We can't go back to the pre-Trump GOP. I agree with that as well. Those days are over, and they should be, Haley wrote. But we lost our majorities in the House and Senate, and we've lost a national popular vote in 7 of the past 8 presidential elections. Surely there's room for the improvement as a party. I agree with that as well. Haley made headlines this month when she broke with Trump in an interview published by Politico, saying she was disappointed and disgusted by Trump's actions on January 6th when she spoke at a rally short before a group of rioters broke into the U.S. Capitol. He went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him, and we shouldn't have listened to him, and we can't let that ever happen again, she said in an interview. Despite those remarks, Haley still praised Trump's work in office, writing in Wednesday's op-ed that she considered most of his policies outstanding, while still condemning his actions after the election. She noted that although he brought millions of voters to the GOP, the party also lost voters during his presidency. I will gladly defend the bulk of the Trump record and his determination to shake up the current status quo in Washington, she added. I will never defend the indefensible. I didn't do that when I served alongside President Trump, and I'm not going to do that now. So I hear what Nikki Haley is saying. However, I think that what Nikki Haley is missing here is that she has contributed to the divide in the GOP because she has came out and said, right, in her original kind of Politico piece, that she doesn't see Trump as the future of the party, right? That she thinks that he's going to have a very, very limited role, okay? And she even said that she doesn't think he's running in 2024. And I think that that's where Nikki Haley kind of went downhill, because Lindsey Graham and Kevin McCarthy have criticized President Trump for what happened on January 6th, right? But at the same time, they've been very, very clear about how they feel in regards to his role moving forward in the party. The problem with Nikki Haley is that it's not that she's criticizing Trump for his role in January 6th. That's not the issue. The issue is that she doesn't see him as a future of the party. She thinks that he needs to be purged. And I think that it is apparent that she believes this based off what was written in that Politico story. And if you guys haven't read that, I encourage people to read it if you have time, because it is fascinating. And it goes into a lot of Nikki Haley's background. And Nikki Haley is known for using politicians, right, to elevate her career and then just dumping them, right? And it seems like that's kind of what she was kind of doing with Trump, right? She was in the Trump administration. She supported Trump. And now she's seeing a political opportunity to disengage from Trump. And it seems like that's what she's trying to do. However, it seems that the backlash may be getting to her because it seems like she's trying to walk it back. Because apparently Trump had turned down a meeting at Mar-a-Lago with Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley had requested a meeting and Trump was like, no. And I believe that the reason why Trump said no is because of Nikki Haley's comments regarding his future in the party. So let's read here. Former President Trump this weekend declined to meet with Nikki Haley, his former ambassador to the United Nations, and a prospective 2024 presidential candidate, according to a source familiar with the matter. Politico first reported that Haley reached out to Trump on Wednesday to request a face-to-face meeting at his Mar-a-Lago resort, but Trump turned her down after Haley had spent recent weeks criticizing the former president for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot. A spokesperson for Trump did not respond to a request for comment. Trump has met with other GOP officials at Mar-a-Lago since leaving the office, including House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy and more recently House Minority Whip Steve Scalise. So as you can see, like I said, Kevin McCarthy, who made those comments about Trump that everybody got mad about, and I'm trying to tell you guys, like, no, he's saying the things he needs to say in order to maintain his credibility in regards to what happened on January 6th. But at the same time, he's made it very, very clear about President Trump's future in the party. And, right, and this is what this comes down to. The difference between the Tim Scotts, right, the Lindsey Grahams, the Kevin McCarthys, right, versus the Nikki Haleys and the Mitch McConnells is that Mitch McConnell and Nikki Haley have strongly hinted at Trump not being a part of the party, like a complete cutoff from Trump, that Trump does not have a future. Tim Scott didn't get on board with all the election stuff. He straight up just didn't even speak about it at all. However, when it came to impeachment, obviously he voted not to convict. Lindsey Graham, he basically did the same thing. Okay. Kevin McCarthy, they basically did the same thing. And they criticized the president, right, for what happened on the 6th. However, the difference is that they still said, hey, you still have a role in the party moving forward. Okay, that President Trump is still a part of the party, that, you know, we still need him and that we need to work together, right? And that he still is basically the king of the party. I think that's what differentiates those that are still in good graces with President Trump and those who are not. And you can tell because Trump has denied a meeting with Nikki Haley. He's basically telling Nikki Haley, that you went too far. Okay. And I think what really pissed Trump off probably is the fact that Nikki Haley basically questioned Trump's future in the party. Okay. I think that's what Trump really is upset with Nikki Haley about. And I think this also goes to verify and show that what Nikki Haley was saying about the liberal media is BS. I don't know how else you can interpret President Trump denying a meeting with Nikki Haley, right? If you don't think that that's a civil war, I don't know what is. If you don't think that McConnell coming out and basically encouraging people to sue President Trump, right, to bring criminal charges against him and to sue him, I don't know how you don't see it as a civil war. Okay, historically speaking, Republicans don't really criticize other Republicans like that. That's just how Republicans have rolled basically since Reagan, right? Has made it a sin for Republicans to criticize each other, which I don't necessarily think is a good thing because it's hard for you to get better as a party if you can't criticize each other. But I do think the biggest difference here is not that you can't criticize the president. It's the fact that Haley seems to be in the boat of trying to get rid of Trump altogether. Right. And I think that that's what a line has been crossed for her. So as you can see here, look at this quote. You know, Haley said at the time that she felt Trump had lost any sort of political viability he was going to have and questioned whether he would be a player in the future of the GOP. That's what she messed up. OK, so Nikki Haley here is in a peculiar situation in which, you know, she says she's not trying to play both sides of the fence, but she really is. Right. I think criticizing the president, but saying that he still has a role in the party when he obviously has the most support in the party, I think is fine. Right. It is what it is. But here's the thing. There's no room to sit on the fence when it comes to whether or not Trump has a role in the party or not. If you want a clean cutoff from Trump and you don't want him in the party anymore, you can't ride a fence on that, right? People are not going to let you ride the fence on that because he's still the most popular man in the party. A lot of people hoping that he run in 2024. If you're coming out and you're saying that he should be excommunicated from the party, yeah, you're not going to have any breathing room on that. And I think that Nikki Haley put her foot in her mouth and that she's trying to straighten back up her image with the GOP, knowing that she's probably ruined her chances in 2024 realistically after coming out and making the comments that she made. And it's just really funny to see how Trump has denied her the opportunity to get that photo op with him to try to make it seem like Nikki Haley is still on the same page with Trump. So this was actually a pretty smart move from Trump, not letting Haley meet with him in Mar-a-Lago, basically sending a clear message that she's crossed the line and that he's basically done with her. Right. And again, like I said, you know, others have criticized the president and he hasn't went that far. That's because they made it clear that Trump is still the leader of the party. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.